Shalom Aleichem, it's Ya'Kov Shepard here from King David's Tomb, KingDavidKabbalah.com, and we are in Parashat Emor, and I want to give you some Kabbalistic inspiration from the Holy Zohar. Zohar in Parashat Emor is talking a lot about what is happening when a person passed away, and the whole story of the soul separating from the physical body. Many interesting ideas and principles, and I'm sure you can gain a lot by getting those ideas with the help of Hashem. So the Zohar is starting with the time that the person passed away, and he says that when a person is lying on his deathbed, he have three messengers that are coming to him, and he is able to see them, even though until that point he was never able to see angels. But then in that time Hashem is opening the possibility for visual sight, even for those that usually are not in that level. And the reason is because it's a day of judgment. And then the Zohar is saying that Hashem is the owner of our being, and he gave us our physical being, our body, as a collateral. And when we passed away, it's like we giving back that collateral. So the Zohar, Zaka'ah barnash depikdonei etiv lemalka kamad ityayiv lebegave. Praise should be the person that is giving back the collateral the same way he got it. But usually, unfortunately, the collateral that Hashem gave us, the physical body, is all dirty, is all messed up, unfortunately. And then what can we say to the owner of that collateral? So the person raising his eyes and he sees the angel of death in front of him, and the angel of death has a sword. Now, obviously, it's very easy to imagine some kind of a children's story about some kind of a dark figure holding a sword. And for me, that's not the way to learn Zohar. It's not a children's book, even though it might be that children's in our generation can learn it, but it's not a children's book. And we have to understand, what does it mean? What does it mean that the angel of death is holding a sword? Why a sword? Could be something else. So let's just say that the gematria of Charbo, his sword, is the gematria of Gvura, same gematria, which is Rayu, 216. So the simple way to understand that the angel of death is holding a sword is to understand that within the process of death, Hashem is using the character, the attribute of Gvura in the full extent. He is basically overpowering the Sphira of Gvura to do the work of ending the life of the person, which is basically the attribute of Gvura, is to make the limit, right? That's the principle. Okay. So he says that angel, that we call him angel of death, we can call him other kind of names, all kinds of names, nicknames that we are using to describe this angel. And he's in charge of making that disconnection, to disconnect the physical and the spiritual, the connection between the body and soul, is going to be finished in that point. And obviously, it might be a very hard experience. Okay? The Gemara in Masechet Brachot is talking about the difference between the righteous people and the wicked people. That the wicked people are working all their days to increase the pleasures of their body. So they are strengthening the connection with the body. And then when it's time to leave the body, it's very difficult for them. The tzaddikim are basically busy with spiritual elevation and elevating their consciousness to the higher realms. So all their life they are practicing that separation of the physical from the spiritual. So in the time of death, it's not difficult for them because that's what they prepare for themselves for all their life. Now, there is also in that direction of the tzaddikim, the Zohar is also explaining us what is happening there with the help of Hashem. So the Zohar says that the person will not leave the world, meaning the awareness of the spiritual being cannot disconnect totally from the physical body, from the physical world, without having a revelation of the light of the Shekhinah. Now, why do we need that? Says the Zohar that this is creating a tremendous pull, a tremendous desire of Hashem, of the person, to connect to the Shekhinah. And that's a wonderful thing that the Zohar is telling us that can take place if we are open to have that vision in that time that we are about to pass away. And that's another concept that we need to prepare ourselves for that moment, to grab that potential that is there in that moment. And that's again what the tzaddikim needs to do. They need to prepare themselves for that moment, that when it comes, they're ready and they can enjoy the experience, revelation of the Shekhinah. What can be better than that? Then the Zohar says that the desire of the being, of the person, to connect with the light of the Shekhinah is so great that then they are ready to leave the world, to disconnect from the physical, to be able to connect and be re-immersed within that light of the Shekhinah. And then, what happens when the spiritual being is disconnected from the physical and goes up to the heavens? There is parts of the being that are able to connect with the light of the Shekhinah, and there is parts that needs to go through process of tikkun, rectification, to perfect themselves to be able to connect with the Shekhinah. And that's basically part of the process of what's happening in Gehenom, hell. We think about hell usually as a negative process, something that we want to avoid. So, okay, maybe we want to avoid, but it's not a negative process. It's a process that is coming to prepare the person to be able to connect with the light of the Shekhinah after that process takes place. So something that is preparing you for something that is desirable is not negative, it's a positive process. Doesn't mean it's easy, it's very difficult, much more than we can fathom, but it is positive. Then the body, the stays with no spiritual strength, without life energy, should be buried. And there is a pasuk that it says, "Lo talin nivlato al ha'etz." You should not leave dead body on the tree. Meaning, when they hang someone, shouldn't leave him on the tree overnight. They have to bury him the same day. What's the reason? Says the Zohar, that when there is 24 hours that the dead body stays without burial, it affects the spiritual part of that person. And there's a very important process that is getting delayed. And what is that process? The Zohar explains that maybe the way to rectify those parts that are not ready to connect with the light of the Shekhinah will not be Gehenna, will not be hell. It will be reincarnation, Gilgul, meaning the soul, the being of that person that passed away needs to be reborn. Now, it could be that the child need to be born, but the soul cannot connect with that body, the new body, because the old body was not buried. So that's a very, very important big secret that the Zohar is telling us here, that it is impossible for the soul to be reincarnated when the body was not buried. There's obviously a lot to say about it, a lot to speak about. I'm sure that there's many people that have questions of how does it work then. But okay, another thing that is getting held back and delayed if the body is not buried, says the Zohar, that the soul cannot come in front of Hashem. Okay, so usually the process is for the reincarnation. So first the soul of the person passed away have to come in front of Hashem, and then Hashem is redirecting that soul to make the connection with the newborn that needs to receive that soul. Anyhow, that's one part of that article. There's obviously a continuation, but we'll hold it here. And I just want to add on top of that the whole subject matter of understanding the different parts between the physical and the spiritual and the different layers in between that are the intermediary that makes the connection between the physical and spiritual, how to relate, how to connect to each one of those parts. That's a big part of what I'm teaching generally, and specifically in these days. We are working on a plan, a program of giving over those teachings in a much wider way than what we did so far. So if it's something that you are interested to learn, so please stay in tune. And if you think that other people that you know might gain from that, so please forward this video to them, and everybody can connect with us on the website kingdavidkabbalah.com. All the connections for the newsletter, for the Sefirot program, everything is there. So please take advantage of that, and Bezrat Hashem will bless you with all the blessings of the Torah. Thank you very much. Shabbat Shalom V'Vorach. Bracha v'Atzlacha.